Hello, everybody, and welcome to TRACKILICIOUS. We are rolling right from the starting screen, and we're going straight to the calendar because we had an LMU issue. A new hotfix was released for today for everybody to be able to spectate hosted races. So apologize for the technical delays, but we're rolling as scheduled for the race. GT4 rookies has been to Barcelona and Valencia. Next week we'll be at Kyalami on January 27th, followed by the GT4 Open, also at Kyalami. GT3 West Coast Championship. We've been to Suzuka and Valencia. This week we'll be at Imola for a 50-minute race. GT3 Championship on iRacing just had its off week, and Virginia International Raceway on the 23rd. Now we're going to Road America on January 23rd. The Proto Pavement Championship, the staple GT3 Championship, where you can go from sim to IRL to win a in real life track day with a track prep car and $500 for travel. We've done our qualifying. We've been to Suzuka. We've been to Imola. And now we're headed to the Red Bull Ring on January 26th. That'll be this weekend. And don't forget about the 12 Hours of Bathurst starting tomorrow at 5:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Hello to Adam Strange, Doc Wilby, Mr. Provolone, Troyola46. Thank you very much. And it is my 9-month sub anniversary, apparently. So let's get that chat message out of the way. And I am joined by none other than Kuzya Terekhov, who has joined us in the booth for this fine LMU hiccup. How are you doing, Kuzya?
Doing good, yeah. Excited to see some action around the circuit of La Sarthe. This exciting 24-hour track layout with some hypercars, some GT3s. Should be an exciting multi-class race.
Really looking forward to this. 3 classes of cars are out there on circuit. Without any further delay, let's go seeing what those cars are all up to right now. We've got drivers in the hypercar category from Mitchell Diaz down to David Aulino. 17 cars in the hypercar category. LMP2 track, we've got at least 6 drivers there from Ryan Cody, Chris Turner, Jake Bucknam, Chris Tones, Paul Cantia, and Jason Provolone. And then we have the GT3 category from Fares Saidi all the way down to Ryan Lintillion and Celestia Chambers. And that'll be 8 drivers in the GT3 category right now. Qualifying is just concluded. We're just waiting for the drivers to get all gridded up, and then we'll be ready to go. Let's set the starting order. And let's go ahead and see if we can get the session results up for qualifying number 1.
There we go. We have our order in top position on pole position. Mitchell Diaz in the Porsche number 5 with a time of 3 minutes 26.381. Good lap time around the Circuit de la Sarthe by him. About a second off of the pace. In second is the BMW of Santiago Barrios. And in third is Siege Engine in the Toyota. Behind him, the 93 Peugeot of Alex Afonso. Behind them, 2 Toyotas, the number 8 of Osvaldo Costa and the number 7 of Joseph German. In 7th place, the number 19 Lamborghini, I believe that is, of Rod Skyhook. In 8th, Pedro Lima. Also in the Peugeot number 93. In 9th place, Juan Caires running in the Porsche. And then the first Ferrari on the grid is in 10th of Arlen Santos.
Absolutely stunning that we've got this many people here out on track right now in the hypercar category. Let's see if we can get up the LMP2 category next. It'll be Ryan Cody in the LMP2 category leading the charge with a 341.302, and only 55 hundredths back will be Chris Turner, Jake Bucknam, Chris Tones, Paul Cantia, and Jason Provolone in 6th place, driving the number 14. Switching over to the GT3 category, we have Fares Saidi, I believe that's how that's pronounced, with a 402.095. João Azevedo only 63 hundredths back in the number 46, Will Brunner in third place, Colin Blackman in fourth place, One Bigley, Drew Harkins, Celestia Chambers, and Ryan Lentillion will round out the drivers in the LMGT3 category.
Yeah, pretty close there between the top two of the GT3 class, just separated by less than a tenth of a second. Will be exciting to see what that plays out to in the race. There's 60 minutes of racing ahead, so there should be some pretty good battles on track based on the gaps we have set in qualifying.
Absolutely stunning that we've got this many drivers out here on the racing circuit right now. And the times, like you said, Kuzya, are absolutely stunningly close right now between a lot of the drivers, just a couple of hundred separating them. But it looks like Diaz is the one who holds on to the true pace. The Porsche have inherently successful here. The Porsche dominance, Porsche holding the record for the most overall victories at Le Mans with 19 wins as of 2023, and their legacy at the track has been unparalleled. And it looks like Mitchell Diaz is reigning that trend to be true, driving the number 5.
Yeah, sure is true. Porsche have been pretty dominant around this track in the past. Of course, the past two winners of the 24-hour of Le Mans have been the 499 prototype Ferraris. Both of the cars receiving a victory in the real life race, so that's very exciting for any Ferrari fans out there.
Very true that the Ferrari did win not too long ago, but the Porsches seemingly being on top. Rod Skyhook driving the Lamborghini, Pedro Lima in 8th on row number 4. Row number 5 is going to be Juan Kairos and Arlen Santos. One Bigley with the dono. Thank you very much for the additional $10 to the Keep the Lights On Foundation. Really appreciate you, my friend. Here's row 6, and on to row 7, Ryan Cody and Chris Turner, 13th and 14th place for them. Row 8 is going to be Jake Bucknam and Gurin Singh. It looks like the LMP2 is getting mixed up with some of the hypercars for as far as lap times are concerned. There's Chris Tones driving Roxy, and Faris Saidi in the Ferrari leading the charge. João Azevedo and Will Brunner right next to each other on row 10. Colin Blackman and One Bigley right next to each other on row 11. Row 12 is going to be Drew Harkins and Carl Sween. Carl Sween, the leader of this championship right now, Adrian Burke and Ryan Lentillion. We've got quite the mix-up of cars of people that did not take to the qualifying. Jace Wright and Paul Cantia on row 14 right now. And row 15, Celestia Chambers.
Formation lap has started.
Row 16 will be Jason Provolone driving the 14 LMP2 car. So that'll be interesting to see a lot of the other cars that should be started a lot further up the pack, starting at the back of the grid right now. How do you make of that?
Yeah, we didn't really get to see much of the qualifying session due to the technical issues, but my speculation is that potentially they just got stuck in traffic and just were not able to complete a clean lap time in the short 15-minute session that was allowed. And I believe it is all the classes at once that are allowed to qualify, so they could have been caught up in multi-class traffic, but nonetheless they will work their way through the field as best as they can in the 60 minutes that lie ahead.
And hopefully they will be able to contend with traffic a little bit better in this stint than they were in their qualifying stint, if that was the case. We'll have to pull up the driver's standings because this is obviously going to have championship implications on how things end up falling where they might in this driver's standings. But of course, we're all just out here racing for fun and having a great time, and the drivers are coming through the Ford chicane now and ready to take the green flag. We'll have plenty of time to catch up with the standings.
Green flag.
Settle in, but green, away we go right now. Mitchell Diaz, Santiago Barrios, Siege Engine, Alex Alfonso, Osvaldo Costa leading the charge right now, and it looks like Santiago Barrios gets the jump on that number 5 Porsche, headed in towards Dunlop right away. It's seemingly looking like everything is all on the up and up for most of the drivers. Let's see how far back the LMP2s are doing and how they're faring right now, because we have Ryan Cody chasing down the hypercar out in front of Jacob Cunningham, only half a second away right now, but the gap is ever going to be increasing. And Let's Go Racing. Thank you very much for being here, Alex K Racing. Appreciate all the support and very much appreciate the special prize that he's given out to the drivers tonight. One for every single category. 3 $20 gift cards will be donated at random to drivers that are participating tonight. So thank you so much to Alex K for giving that donation to the Trackalicious family. Oh, and there's a big spin for the number 7 Toyota. Holy Toledo, and he is going to be parked up there for a very, very, very long time at the Ford chicane. Holy Toledo, he is not going to want to get moving. He is just inching his way forward just a little bit there. And Mitchell Diaz 3/10 away from Santiago Barrios out in the front right now, able to escape the carnage from behind.
Yeah, good for the leaders to be able to escape that carnage behind. Yeah, just unfortunate for the Toyota just to be really stuck in the middle of the track, just competitors going around him left and right, nowhere really to go, so just had to wait until there was a clear opportunity for him to get off of the racing line and resume racing.
Lord Grimm asking if there's any Cadillacs in the field tonight. Yes, it looks like there's one. Komisarov, the number 2 Cadillac. Komisarov down in 10th place right now, and he is about 1/10 away from the Lamborghini out in front, and you can absolutely tell right under the brakes, just not looking happy as we approach what looks like Mousseline Corner. And a couple of bollards getting taken out, and there's a Ferrari going off in the background, and it's seemingly looking like the drivers have found the excitement that they were looking for here tonight. Here's a battle between a couple of cars. It looks like the number 7 of Joseph German out in front is able to escape the clutches of João Azevedo from behind. Joseph German chopping it up, getting past Colin Blackman now.
Yeah, of course, we see the mixed-in traffic of the LMPH, or yes, I believe that they're called Hypercars now. Yes, the Hypercars and the LMP2 field getting all mixed up in the GT3 field, starting from the back as we see an LMP2 pulling off a move here on the inside. Shouldn't be too hardly contested, as they are racing in completely different classes, having completely different paces on the track, so really not trying to impede each other too much while they're out there.
No, and it looked like getting the move done as he approached Indy and getting the move fully completed by the time we got to Arnage was the most important thing for Roxy to be able to get. Oh no, that's Spike, excuse me, that's Spike. What am I talking about? Spike was able to get right on through. I keep on getting Rexy, Roxy, and Spike mixed up. I greatly apologize. That is very inappropriate for me to get the dinosaurs confused like that, but no, that is Spike, who is being driven by Jason Provolone right now in the number 14, chopping it up through the GT3 field and making his way back up to the front of the pack, and will then chase down Chris Tones, Jake Bucknam, Chris Turner, and Ryan Cody. You can never trust a guy with 2 first names, but looks like Ryan Cody actually getting by Jace Wright here. And I wonder what happened to Jace Wright, potentially getting a slowdown. Night Flight, thank you very much for the follow. Welcome to the Trackalicious family, my friend.
Yeah, do you, I'm not too familiar with the sim. Do cars receive slowdowns for cutting certain areas of the track?
I'm not too sure. This isn't a sim that I drive too much, but I assume that they would have gotten a slowdown for presumably cutting the final chicane, the Ford chicane, and then there he was giving, oh, the Night Flight says no, they do not, so no slowdowns being given, just track cut violations then. And if you can correct me again there, Night Flight, I greatly appreciate it. More information, the better. I'm always willing to admit when I'm wrong. Here's a 3-way battle between the 93 of Pedro Lima, Arlen Santos, and Juan Kairos out in front. Juan Kairos driving the number 6 Porsche, the number 51 behind, and the number 93 Peugeot trailing in the background.
Yeah, this is a good battle for 6th place between 3 different manufacturers. The long runs down to the chicanes down these street roads are very, very fun to watch, as the cars are bouncing all over the place due to them not being under perfect condition all the time. It'll be very, very interesting to see how close the Peugeot can get to the Ferrari ahead. It doesn't seem like that slipstream helped him out too much in the approach to the second chicane down that back straight, but we'll see if he's able to get close to try to pull off a move into the Mulsanne corner.
And the Peugeot is actually really designed to perform here. So it just not performing as well as it should. And there goes the car off into the gravel at the end of Mousseline. And there the 51 is going to become under threat from that 93 Peugeot. And it's going to show its stripes and where it was developed and how far it's going to run. And it's going to do a good job to get that move done and dusted around the 51. But will the 51 challenge back at any opportunity? I'm sure it will.
Yeah, it seemed like the 51 just has a really good amount of straight line speed, getting pretty close to the Peugeot after making that mistake in the Mulsanne corner, but not quite close enough yet to pull off a move to get back. The Peugeot moved up into 7th place, going to try to catch up to the Porsche ahead. And in the back there, oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
Oh, I was just going to mention in the background there, it seems like the Cadillac and the Lamborghini are getting quite close together. So we'll try to slightly keep an eye on that battle, but not quite close enough to pull off a move, as the Peugeot here just pulling a bit away from the Ferrari through the Porsche curves as they approach the Corvette curves. Just a lot of car names after, a lot of corners named after cars here, or after locations as well.
Yeah, there sure are. Homage to the run-ins of many cars here at the 24 Hours of Le Mans. The Fried Egg asks, was going to join this tonight but did not know how. Well, you can check out TRACKILICIOUS on SimGrid, !SimGrid, to find all of the championships that TRACKILICIOUS hosts, and !Discord in the future. Join us on Discord to join us for any future events that are not available on SimGrid, and you can go ahead and ask all of your questions there if you have any whatsoever. And Walker says, a bit late today, but coming to support Barrios, who's chopping it up, and he is out in P1 right now. Thank you very much for being here, Mr. Walker. We made the numbers. It should work. Good for you guys for getting the strategy right. And there goes the 51 through on the 93. I knew it was only going to be a matter of time before that Ferrari tried to snap back. That's Pedro Lima chasing down Arlen Santos.
Yeah, good move from the Ferrari to bounce back after that mistake after the braking zone. But we'll see, he's under a fair bit of pressure now from the Peugeot, getting a pretty good exit. Gonna maybe try and pull a move through these chicanes, but not quite close enough into the first braking zone. Still gonna try to stick as close as possible to the tail of the Ferrari, because as we see here, the Ferrari's just running a little bit wide on the corner exits and not really giving himself a good advantage onto the straight to pull away from the Peugeot. Coming under pressure now, the Peugeot is gonna stick to the inside line of the braking zone into the next chicane. And we'll see if he can get the move done, staying way to the inside. The car's giving each other plenty of space as they run down the bumpy roads. Into the braking zone, the Peugeot is going to have the nose ahead. The Ferrari just has to kind of tuck behind there. And yeah, just unfortunately losing it again on corner exit, not being able to maintain the pace down the straight, and that gives the Peugeot the position.
A little bit of a three-way scrap looking behind Rod Skyhook. Andrew Komisarov and Aidan Burke are chopping it up amongst themselves back here, right behind that Peugeot and Ferrari battle. Very early in the 90-minute race, absolutely Walker.
What's a 90-minute race? I thought it was 60.
Oh my goodness, that was a big tank slapper that we had from the Lamborghini of, I believe that was Aidan Burke, the number 19. And yes, it was a huge disaster for this driver, but he was able to keep the car collected. The Cadillac able to go through and gain the position back, but it is going to be a challenge right away as we approach Indianapolis. Looking like he wants to make a move around the outside of Indy, but locks up the brake and then goes out there. Absolutely a giant Code Brown moment there, Lord Grimm.
Yeah, unfortunately the Lamborghini not being able to get slowed down in time to pull off a move onto the outside. It looked like it was a pretty good move. It could have been on if he got the braking zone just right. Just didn't quite have the grip on those outside tires to turn and brake at the same time, and just locked straight up into the gravel trap, and also giving the position to his fellow Lamborghini. Now he's going to try to take the position on the outside, goes way wide of the gravel trap. There's a big snap on the oversteer, but managed to keep it out of the barrier and back onto the racing surface. Man, that was a huge moment.
Huge moment for Aiden Burke, Jacob Cunningham, and Rod Skyhook managing to make their way by. Looking back at the GT3 field right now, just to keep an eye on them, Fares Saidi is the one who has taken away pole position and leading the charge by 1.4 seconds in front of Zhao Azevedo. Walker says the keys to the race is the one who will go for the one-stop strategy and who will gamble with the two-stopper. That is going to be the big question for sure. Will Brunner in second place, Zhao Azevedo in third place, Ryan Lentillion in fourth, One Bigley in fifth, Colin Blackman in sixth, Celestia Chambers in seventh, and Drew Harkins in eighth.
Yeah, still pretty close gaps between the GT3 fields, and of course we haven't seen them experience any blue flags from faster cars behind, and of course, as we have seen before, that blue flags can change a race completely. And so we'll have to wait and see how those play out, whether the drivers will be able to get through cleanly or whether there will be a few incidents as the faster cars approach the, not necessarily slower cars, but just some traffic, we'll say.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting, and how many times they're going to get past will be the real big key here. They're lapping at about a minute, just about 50 seconds faster. So let's say every 4 laps, they'll complete an additional lap faster than the GT3 counterparts, for at least for the hypercar category. So maybe on lap 4, we'll start to see them come around, and I believe we're just starting lap 3 right now. Checking in with the LMP2 category, it'll be Ryan Cody leading the charge for DKR Engineering, and the number 33, Chris Tones, about 1 second behind. Jake Bucknam in third place. Jason Provolone in fourth place. He's actually behind a couple of hypercars that are sandwiching him between the rest of the LMP2 category.
Yeah, unfortunately, it seems like there's 2 DNFs already for the LMP2 runners, so just 4 cars still in the field, and it's going to be a tough recovery from that number 14 car, because I believe he started in last on the grid. So nonetheless, still a long way to go in the race, and already being just 30 seconds back from the leaders is a good position to be in if you're Provolone.
Absolutely not too bad at all, especially battling it out in the category. It's a very long race with just over an hour and 16 minutes left to go. We have a long way of lap running before things get unsettled. And actually, things getting unsettled already, as Mitchell Diaz was able to get around Santiago Barrios just a moment ago and regains first position. The number 5 now taking the lead of this one.
Yeah, 5 seems to have been able to warm up that car, warm up the tires, and get back to the pace that they showed during the qualifying session, being a second out ahead of the car in second place, and now already pulling out a 1.2 second gap over the BMW behind.
Well, what I'm actually interested in about, really interested in about, is what Walker had said is maybe Barrios is actually on a fuel saving strategy and the Porsche is not. The Porsche potentially going for a 2-stop strategy, while Barrios is going for a single stop strategy. And therefore, we won't see too many battles on track. We will see the battles happen when it comes down to pit lane, and obviously towards the end of this epic 90-minute battle that we'll see on track at the Circuit de la Sarthe, hosted by TRACKILICIOUS event.
Yeah, we'll just have to wait and see until that first round of pit stops just to see exactly when and who will stop and exactly where they come out. Like I said before, don't have too much experience in the sim, so not sure how much you can change during the pit stops. I'm assuming the usual fuel and tires and refuel and driver changes, but that is not necessary in this race. But yeah, just we'll kind of wait and see how those strategies kind of wait and play out as we see the Porsche, as someone mentioned in the chat, have a massive straight line advantage and pulling away to 2 seconds on that straight, just completely running away from the BMW.
Yeah, and doing a good job of doing so. Here's a Ferrari chasing down the no-winged Peugeot behind. That'll be the Peugeot 9X8 2004 edition, I believe. No, the 2003 edition. What am I talking about? And it is doing its namesake proud here, as Gurin Singh is in 5th place and Peugeot is in 4th place.
Yeah, it seems like not having that big wing on there really helps the Peugeot in the straight line speed, as the Ferrari's not really able to catch up down the back straights. The Peugeot just managing the tires very well on the exit and just pulling away, not really letting the Ferrari have any look down the inside of any corners, or any big braking zones, that is.
That Peugeot carrying a lot of downforce here at the Circuit de la Sarthe, but the Ferrari able to close down the gap during the braking zone of Mousseline, doing a good job of keeping it one out in front right now. And we're getting a notification from Walker. Mitchell is not saving at all. He's going full push, definitely for the 2-stopper. That's what I can only assume, Walker. Thank you very much for all the chatters, giving us a little bit more insight into LMU, as we're just poor commentators. We're not sim racers 100% of our time. We spend more time talking about drivers than we do actually driving the sims ourselves. So thank you very much for all this added and needed information to help us get educated a little bit more on platforms that we're not typically racing on all the time. So thank you so much to help us get accustomed to LMU and keep on feeding us as much information as possible. It is more than welcome here at TRACKILICIOUS.
Yeah, thank you guys. Really appreciate answering our questions. Most of the time it's our job to answer your questions, but the roles are a little bit reversed. And yeah, thank you guys so much for providing a little bit more insight for us who are rather new to this sim, but still very much enjoying our time here, just enjoying the racing, the very close action between these two hypercars. The Ferrari running a little bit wide still, just not really able to get close to the Peugeot, it seems, just down the straights to get any sort of advantage into any braking zone.
Yeah, really trying to work the wheel as much as possible to gain any sort of advantage that the number 50 Ferrari can do over that 93 out in front, but not quite finding. Let's check in with the LMP2 category very quickly, because we have a battle for the lead of the P2 category between Jake Bucknam now and Chris Turner, separated by just half a second right now. It's awfully looking good, like this will be a fight of the ages. Fastest lap of the race even going to Jake Bucknam right now with a 3:42.178.
Yeah, good lap time from Bucknam. Still just not quite able to keep close through these high-speed corners of the Porsche curves and then the Corvette curves in this final sector of the Circuit de la Sarthe. Perhaps just a little bit of dirty air just getting involved here, not quite letting the LMP2 stick as good as they possibly can. But nonetheless, it's a good job from these two, and I believe it was Cody who was in the lead of the LMP2 category, just dropped back to 10 seconds behind these two. I wonder if there was perhaps a little bit of some sort of mistake, but nonetheless, still going to battle on and keep going.
One of the things I wish we had, let's see if we can see the number of stops for this category. There goes Turner actually into the pit, so that releases Jake Bucknam out into some clean air. And no, it doesn't look like Ryan Cody has come into the pits at all, so just seemingly having an incident all on their own. And yeah, wow, that is just unfortunate for Ryan Cody to lose the lead of this race. But Turner now coming in for the early pit stop right around the 50-minute mark, I would say. No, we're not 50 minutes into this race. We're 90 minutes, right around the 20 minute mark.
Yeah. Yeah, no, potentially going to ride that two-stop strategy, maybe just fueled a little bit light at the beginning to have a little bit of a pace advantage to get ahead of some cars at the beginning and taking that early pit stop. We'll see how his strategy plays out, because I'm not sure these cars will be able to go for an hour and 10 minutes, so most likely Turner will have to stop again.
And wishing that the virtual energy actually worked. Let's see if we can get the virtual energy remaining to show. No, unfortunately not. The virtual energy not showing the information that we're looking for. And that's just one of the quips that we have to deal with here at LMU when just getting started. And Jake Bucknam weaving and swerving, coming down the Mousseline straight to show us that he's on camera.
Yeah, someone's saying that LMP2 has no virtual energy, which kind of makes sense since there's not really a hybrid system in them as far as I'm aware.
It should still
Right.
show fuel remaining, I think.
Gotcha. Yeah, because
Perhaps.
if I remember right, I believe the Vanderwall also is technically not a hybrid system. It runs on just a naturally aspirated engine alone, but it technically gives you a virtual energy calculation, but it just uses the fuel alone.
Right. Absolutely true.
Not
and
sure
that's
how
what
it
I'm
not
looking
sure how it
for.
transfers into the sim, but I believe that's how it works in the when they show it during the live events.
And same thing for the LMGT3 category. Although they don't have a hybrid system necessarily, it should still show the fuel remaining on board to give us at least that little tiny bit of information. But unfortunately, the UI is not working properly right now. Let's go check out João Azevedo, as he is about a half-second back from Will Brunner out in second place. So battle for the rest of the podium spots still out here. GT3s do have virtual energy though, but it's measured via the torque sensors. Ah, thank you very much for letting us know, Walker. The VE in GT3s and non-VE cars is for trying to balance fuel usage. Yes, sir.
Right. So if a car is running at 0% on that VE tank and it does not pit, it can receive or it will receive a time, like some sort of time penalty, even though it could potentially still have fuel or battery on board to go an extra lap. It still has to come in before it reaches 0%, because as the chat mentioned, yeah, that's how they balance the fuel usage of each cars.
Absolutely correct. Yes, I believe the penalty is a stop-go 30, if I'm not mistaken, for getting down to 0 and not taking a pit stop in the nick of time. But you're absolutely right. The crazy thing is that your virtual energy could show 0, but you still have 2-3 laps of fuel in your car. And there goes a spinning GT3. I wonder who that was.
Yeah, that was the leading 86 Ferrari of Saidi that spun, and now the Corvette we see on screen is now the leader of the GT3 category, being chased down by Azevedo in the BMW. Saidi able to quickly recover and just back into third place, so not too impactful, but still has to claw his way back to get up to that top step of the podium, as here we see that traffic negotiation becoming a factor.
And that'll be the number 5 Mitchell Diaz chopping it up, and Santiago Barrios 8.5 off of the good, doing a little bit of that fuel saving, and he is losing that much more time. And you can see him in the background of that shot as well. And 100% and 100 seconds, wow, added for every offense for abusing the virtual energy. Holy Toledo, that is a large penalty to be dealt. And we have Ryan Lentillion now challenging Faraz Ferris Saidi for that third place spot. Ryan Lentillion, a very good streamer. Check him out on Twitch. I should give him a shout out, and I'll let you keep on talking, Kuzya, while I type out.
Sure. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, so yeah, Saidi able to recover pretty quickly after that spin. Unfortunately, maybe just suffering a little bit of damage to the tires. As we see in the background, the BMW trying to get through the sister BMW, but of the GT3 class. Just going side by side through the high-speed corners is pretty dangerous, as there could be just a little bit of wash, a car just slightly understeers, and it could be race ruining for one or both of the cars. As they go through the chicanes, the Ferrari still managing to keep a really good considerable gap to Lentillion behind, after he unfortunately had to deal with a bit of the hypercar traffic.
Traffic giveth and traffic taketh away. That is the nature of the beast here at Le Mans, especially with the hypercar category. And there is a heating battle. That is Siege Engine trying to challenge Santiago Barrios out in front in the hypercar category. It's looking like Siege Engine is about 0.3 away from the fuel saving Santiago Barrios. And Barrios is going to want to try to hold him up as much as possible and try to use the GT3 traffic to get as much fuel as he can possibly save by being stuck behind them, but no fuel saving coming down the straight. Adam Strange requested a fun fact. Did you know that the 24 Hours of Le Mans, the first one ever, was held in 1923 and has become a global symbol of endurance racing, attracting top manufacturers and drivers, and is actually the longest track on the calendar at 13.626 kilometers or 8.467 miles. What the heck is a kilometer anyways? The Circuit de las Artes is one of the longest racetracks in the world and combines permanent racetrack and sections of public roads that you can actually drive from Tête Rouge down the Mousseline Straight through the Forza chicane during a regular day of the week.
Yeah, we can see these two going down that section now. The painted lines are just there from, those are just the normal road markings of everyday driving. And I believe when they come, there's a couple of roundabouts down this road, and I believe that's where those chicanes are kind of sculpted around.
I believe you're absolutely right. Those are the chicanes that you would technically drive, or the roundabouts that you would go through. And we're going to switch over to a battle between Joseph German and Andrew Komisarov right now. The number 2 challenged by the number 7 of Joseph German behind. That was the number 7 that was spun on lap 1 coming into, I believe it was the Forza chicane, and was just stranded there. So that number 7 is doing a great job doing a good recovery drive, basically, is what he needs to do.
Yeah, doing a good job applying pressure to the lone Cadillac of the field. Good braking opportunity coming up here to get past the Cadillac, but the Cadillac really strong on the brakes. We see the glowing discs on the cars as they brake. Is a really cool feature to see in the sim, where the brakes like physically getting red as they brake really hard into that Bolzan corner. Negotiating a bit of traffic as they come up to Indianapolis, but it doesn't look like the Toyota is going to have quite a move set up here, because he's swerving all over the place, flashing his lights, potentially thinking the Cadillac impeded him a little bit here, as traffic is kind of getting in the way at the worst time here, as the Toyota might try to have a look down the inside but can't, because the BMW GT3 car is parked right there.
Beautiful job negotiating lap traffic there, coming through Arnage, and it's seemingly looking like everything is going just fine for the Hypercar drivers. They're doing a good job of driving this one forward.
Yeah, good for them to negotiate the traffic super easily, not really impede the GT3 either, because the GT3 is just able to maintain its place and keep its own race going. This is probably the worst section to catch up to traffic, through the high-speed corners of the Porsche curves and then onto the Corvette curves also. As I mentioned earlier, it's just very hard to go side by side with a slower car through there. It's just very easy to accidentally cut in front of the nose, or a car just slightly understeers and taps the rear corner of a car and just spins it out completely. But good job from these two negotiating it through the high-speed corners, as the Toyota getting a little bit unsettled through the Ford chicanes, but able to get a good exit. Gonna go side by side down the main straight into the Dunlop curve, but the Cadillac's able to maintain that inside line and just pull away and not really give the Toyota any sort of look and down to any heavy braking zone.
Way to maintain the gaps as well through these battles. I know lap traffic giveth and traffic taketh away, but the drivers are doing so well to negotiate these back markers or blue flag cars while still maintaining their own battle and being very respectful of the cars that are around them. It was awfully close there for that other call. I think that must have been Faraz Saidi that they were getting by, and here they come now. That will be Will Brunner and Zhao Azevedo, if I'm not mistaken. The next car is up on the list for them to get by. Will Brunner now leading the GT3 category, and it looks like the Hypercars are going to go side by side down the Mousseline Straight into the next chicane. Who's going to hold on more? It's going to be the number 2 still doing their job. Let's check out the battle between Will Brunner behind as he's getting chased down by Zhao Azevedo and the number 51. And that'll be Arlen Santos now getting by.
Yeah, it's always fun to see the class leader, not the class leaders, but very high up positions between the BMW and the Toyota of the Hypercar battling and passing the battle going on for first and second of the GT3 class. So that was crazy to see. But yeah, these two still maintaining that right around half-second gap. The BMW not quite able to close down on the Corvette. even through the past 10-15 minutes, it seems like this gap is just maintained right around that half a second to a second mark.
Absolutely. The only way to enjoy the 24-hour endurance events that rage on is to stay up for as long as possible until your body gives out, says Lord Grimm, Shiny Carp, and a couple of others that are talking about it. If you're an endurance fan and you're not managing to stay up and then fall asleep in the middle of the day so you can watch the night running of the 24 hours of Daytona this weekend, are you really a race car fan, man? Of course, we have the 12 hours of Bathurst running tomorrow, so unfortunately, I will miss a lot of the Daytona 24-hour, but of course, resuming my watch party as soon as humanly possible and catching up on all the action on YouTube because IMSA just does a phenomenal job of broadcasting and keeping everything up to date on YouTube.
Yeah, it's going to be a fantastic event. It's just always an exciting time for any sort of 24-hour events. There's, of course, Daytona being one of the world famous ones. The other one being around this track, the 24-hour of Le Mans, going around the Circuit de la Sarthe. And then probably the other most famous one would probably be the 24-hour of the Nürburgring, which is held at the famous Nordschleife circuit in Germany, where a bunch of GT cars battle it out for 24 hours day and night through the forest there.
Or just for 4 hours if we're talking about 2024. That was a very short race last year.
That is true, yeah. We can only control so much, and unfortunately the weather is not one thing we can control.
Do they still even do 24 hours at Spa? I thought they'd chop it up into two 12-hour races now.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, and Spa, of course. Yeah, they do have a big 24-hour event at Spa as part of the GT3 event there that they run.
There used to be the 24 hours of Mugello as well, but they unfortunately had to chop that up into two separate events, and that made me super sad because the 24 hours of Mugello was iconic to see the track lit up at night, but then due to noise restrictions now, unfortunately, they have to chop it up into two separate days where they basically restart the grid and have everybody rerunning after that in the GT3 category. So it is a 24-hour event, but chopped up over 2 days, part one and then part two. It's just a little inauthentic in my opinion.
Yeah, I know what you mean. There was a race like that. I believe it's held at Abu Dhabi after the F1 Grand Prix. It's like a 18-hour race where there's a 6-hour race one day and a 12-hour race the next, or maybe it's flipped where it's 12 and then 6. But yeah, it's kind of odd to split a race up over multiple days, but still exciting to watch as there are multiple races going on, of course.
Yeah, and it just doesn't feel like a true test of endurance when you're allowed to get that break and allowed to get some time to work on your cars if they are damaged or in need of repairs. The true test, of course, are these true 24-hour endurance events like you talked about. The 24 hours of Nürburgring, of course, being the most grueling on the vehicles. Le Mans as well, due to the high flat-out speed and nature of the track. And then you have Spa as well. Truly phenomenal racetracks to go race on, and hope to go back and participate in a 24-hour sim race yet again here in the near future. Looking forward to it this season.
Yeah, hopefully I can get myself in one as well. Yeah, it's a bunch of fun just getting in a car with a bunch of your friends, hanging out for as long as you can, and just racing around with potentially some other good friends you'll meet along the way.
Yeah, absolutely. Change for the lead now, it looks like, as João Azevedo was able to get past Will Bunner as lap traffic got involved here, and the gap is just 0.2 of a second in the GT3 category, but things are shaking up left, right, and center. We thought we were going to have a pretty quiet race, it being 90 minutes long, but the drivers are staying in these tight-knit packs and giving us some more entertainment than I think we honestly deserve. They're doing such a good job of keeping things calm, cool, and collected right now. Saidi, absolutely right, gaining some ground on the leaders. He is only 0.4 off the good. We're going to keep an eye on this GT3 battle and give them their credit due, because this is going to be spicing up to be one here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, of course, the BMW finally able to get by the Corvette. We were saying how for about 20 minutes the BMW was sticking so close to the Corvette, but now the Corvette is going side by side, and he's going to have the inside line running down to Indianapolis. So potentially the BMW might have that position for a very short amount of time. As they go bumping, the Corvette takes the position, and while these guys are battling, the Ferrari's going to try to sweep in and also take a position off of the BMW. Around the outside of Arnage. Ooh, just getting a little bit oversteery on the exit. Can't keep the traction, not able to get the power down, and unfortunately that's going to lose him the ground in the battle for second place on the 46 BMW ahead. But the 46 still able to stay pretty close to the Corvette, not really letting the American V8 pull away as they go to the high speed corners of the Porsche curves. Walls very close on the outside of this corner. You don't really want to end up facing that wall at all.
Absolutely a beautiful move. Not a send at all, but an absolute move around the outside, headed towards Indy, having that inside line. Knew that he was going to lose some ground on the entrance to Indianapolis, but the BMW just unable to make up the ground there on the inside line of that corner, and then holding around the outside line. The Ferrari getting involved of Faris Saidi, doing a good job of maintaining that track position until he hit that exit curbing and then lost traction from behind. It was looking like a good run back into second place, but just going back into third place where he was 1 second away from João Azevedo right now, 1.4 off the good from Will Brunner, having a good job of this recovery drive after a big spin coming out of Mussolini.
Yeah, good recovery from the Ferrari driver and also for the Corvette driver to get that position back from the BMW as quickly as possible. I think when we tuned in at the beginning of this battle, we just saw the BMW take the position, so the BMW really only had to stay ahead for about 4 corners, and then the Corvette swiftly by in Indianapolis.
And we still have 26 drivers here running around the Circuit de la Sarthe, or Le Mans track, the namesake of the game, Le Mans Ultimate. And we're having a great time streaming. Thank you very much to all the chatters giving us all this information as the BMW now goes by in the straightaway as we approach what looks like the Forza chicane. The Corvette unable to close down the gap. And all this battling keeps on bringing this Ferrari back into play from Saidi behind, really looking like a menace right now despite having some damaged or some scrubbed tires. Corvette trying to gain some slipstream side by side, has the better exit coming down the chicane, coming out of the chicane and headed down to the Michelin chicane next. After we go down the Mussolini straight, it's a long straightaway, folks. Mussolini straight is about 6 kilometers long without the chicanes involved. João Azevedo still maintains that position. Before 1990, in the addition of the 2 chicanes, cars would reach speeds of 248 miles per hour or 400 kilometers per hour. And in 1988, Roger Dorchi hit a top speed record of 405 kilometers per hour or 252 miles per hour in a WMP88 Peugeot on the Mussolini States before it was introduced.
Man, at those kind of speeds, any sort of small, I can imagine any sort of small little correction would be terrifying to do, and any approaching slower traffic too at those speeds would be quite something crazy. As the Corvette able to get the traction out of the Mulsanne corner, just goes by the BMW again. BMW seems to have really good straight line speed with the slipstream advantage down that Mulsanne straight, but not able to maintain any sort of gap as it comes to the high downforce corners and braking zones. Even the Ferrari getting close behind to the BMW now as this 3-way battle continues.
That BMW was bobbing, weaving, and looking for a move around the Corvette, really trying to find a way by, but that Corvette was doing a great job of maintaining its speed and consistency, just driving in a straight line, not putting on any big defensive or scary blocking moves really just held its racing line, and the BMW found nowhere else it could possibly go but sit back in P2 of the GT3 cars right now. Where's Ryan Lentillion after all this battling? He's 5.5 off the good. We're not going to forget about Lentillion right now, and he is 5 seconds away from Faraz Saidi in third place.
Yeah, we can just see that red BMW appearing in the background of some of the shots. Of course, as these guys keep battling, that's going to slow their lap time down, and that's going to give Lentillion the chance to come back and potentially join this battle. Oh, as we see all three of these cars dive into the pit lane, I believe.
Yes,
so it's going to be a battle in the pits for the lead of the race. Oh my goodness.
And the Ferrari nearly running into the back of the BMW on the entrance of the final chicane coming into the pits. But now the drivers are all scattering about, trying to find their pit stalls, getting jacked up, and the BMW misses their pit stall and has to get moved. That is going to be a big time crunch. Thank you very much for that follow. Really appreciate you being here, and welcome to the TRACKILICIOUS family. Hopefully you're enjoying this Le Mans Ultimate broadcast.
Yeah, thank you guys all for watching. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, I hope you're enjoying this pretty action-packed race so far. We're not even halfway through. We're just about halfway through, actually. But yeah, plenty of action between all of the classes so far. The Hypercars, the LMP2s. And we were just watching this very intense GT3 battle between three different cars, all battling for the podium position. Any one of them could finish in any position there. Oh, and the BMW is gonna get the jump in the pits. I believe the 46 is gonna exit the pits first, ahead of the Ferrari and ahead of the Corvette.
That is gonna be huge for the other drivers. Holy Toledo, João Azevedo, although he had to get moved, he seemingly had the best pit stop out of everybody. Jumps ahead of Will Brunner. Yes, the number 82, and Faraz Saidi. And yes, I don't think that the BMW and the Ferrari ended up taking tires, but I think Will Brunner must have, and that'll explain the 7-second gap. Only a 7-second difference between the two drivers. That is awfully small of a gamble to throw for not taking tires. That is so small. Ryan Lentillion now inherits third place of this race because of his pit stop strategy as well. He's 6.1 off the good from the leaders, 5.3 off of João Azevedo and Faraz Saidi. So whatever strategy they pulled off all three of them the same strategy together. Will Brunner's the only one that pulled off anything different than the drivers in front of him.
Yeah, we'll see if that gamble for fresh rubber pays off towards the end of the race. It must be that the BMW, Ferrari, and the other BMW of Lentillion were pretty confident that they could maintain the tires for another 45-ish minutes. As the leaders of, I believe the leaders of Hypercar all pitted as well, as Diaz still maintains that lead over Barrios, but it's now only down to 6 seconds.
There we go. Engine, Alfonso, Komisarov, Sween, Lima, Cunningham, all into the pits. Rod Skyhook, the only driver who has not taken a pit stop yet. And there goes Skyhook into the pit lane right now. So Diaz does lead over Santiago Barrios by now just a 6.9 second gap. I believe it was closer to 18 seconds at one point in time. And you can see Barrios lurking in the background there of these shots. And he's not too far away from the battling Mitchell Diaz out in front, who is pushing at an absolute maximum right now and driving his heart out.
Yeah, we'll see if what the chat said earlier about the Porsche potentially being on a two-stop is true. I didn't quite catch when the Porsche came into the pits, and I'm not really sure if there's a way to check that, but nonetheless, we'll see how that strategy ends up playing out towards the end of the race, as the gap after the first pit stop seems to have decreased by about 10 seconds to the good of the BMW.
Yeah, really good job. And we know what Santiago Barrios' strategy will be. He's basically trying to make it to the end of this race now on this one pit stop alone. Barrios 7.3 off the good from Mitchell Diaz. Gurren Singh in third place. Siege Engine in fourth. Alex Alfonso, or should I say Andre Alex Alfonso. Juan Kairos in sixth. Joseph German in 7th, Pedro Lima in 8th, Carl Sween, Arlen Santos, Jacob Cunningham, Rod Skyhook, Andrew Kumisarov, and Davide Aluino, in 15th place.
Yeah, the BMW here is still trying to chase down that lead, just getting a little bit squirrely under acceleration. That's not really going to help get as much lap time as possible down the back straights, but still, nonetheless, 8-second gap, anything is possible. As we've seen, the lead of the GT3 category disappear because of a quick spin in one corner. So anything is really possible for Barrios maintaining this not little gap, but he's not too far off the lead, is what I'm trying to say, essentially, for any kind of mistake to potentially appear and for Barrios to take any kind of advantage of it.
100%. It's not an insurmountable gap for him to overcome. Let's check in with the LMP2 cars and see how they're doing. Jake Bucknam leading right now in the P2 category. Let's see what the stop strategy has been. Bucknam, Cody, Turner, and Provolone, the 4 drivers remaining in that LMP2 category, have all taken their mandatory pit stop so far. And it looks like they're holding on very well. Fastest lap going to Chris Turner in the LMP2 category, a 41.6. A 3-minute 41.6 for Chris Turner. Best Ryan Cody and Jake Bucknam. Provolone in the number 14, still down in 22nd place overall, sitting behind the rest of the GT3 cars, so he's got some work to do to catch back up as he's 1 lap down.
Yeah, still a little bit of work to do being a lap down, but like we mentioned, anything is possible in this race, so we never know when one of your competitors could potentially face some sort of damage and have to come into the pits for an extended period of time.
Switching over to João Azevedo as Faraz Saidi is getting hunted down right now. Saidi inherited the lead of the race, getting past João Azevedo during this last pit stop cycle, it looks like, and João just had to secede that moment away. But 0.5 is the gap between P1 and P2. Ryan Lentillion, 6.2 off the good, lapping at 403.7, being his best lap around.
Yeah, good laps from all the top 4 cars. It's really any one of those top 4 can still finish in any one of those top 4 positions. It's really anyone's race. Saidi was pretty dominant out of the get-go, getting about a 10-second gap over his competitors in 2nd and 3rd, but then an unfortunate spin saw him lose that to the Corvette and Azevedo in the BMW, who's currently chasing him down. Lentillion just maintaining a good pace and just maintaining a really good gap to the cars ahead, not really, just kind of racing his own race at the moment. Not really worried about cars around him, it seems like, just happy to push on, just negotiate the traffic as best as he can and hope for any sort of advantage towards the end of the race.
And Ryan Lentillion, I don't believe, did a qualifying run either, so for him to be sitting in 3rd place right now in front of the leader previously, Will Brunner, is pretty exciting to see how much ground he's been able to catch up in that number 31 Team WRT car, and sitting in 3rd place right now, but hoping to make that a 2nd or a 1st place by the end of the 41 minutes that we have remaining left on the clock. Will Brunner is about 1.9 off the good. You can see him in the background right now. I think he's about to get passed by the number 5 of Mitchell Diaz as the leaders get through and back on track.
Yeah, Mitchell Diaz just tearing through the traffic in very, very good areas. And by good, I mean just down the straights where one car can just kind of pull out of the way of the other, and none of them will really cost each other any sort of lap time. As we see again here down that straight, the Porsche just has to pull off to the side and get by the BMW just on that power advantage that the Hypercars have over the GT3 field.
Yeah, exercising it as much as possible. As we approach the Porsche curves, the GT3 battle still rages on between João Azevedo and Faraz Saidi in 1st place. I'm going to keep on butchering that name. I apologize. If it's Faraz, you let me know in chat what is your actual name, and I'll make sure I get it right from now on. I apologize profusely to you, the number 1 driver in the number 86.
Yeah, unfortunately, we are also limited by our knowledge of people's names, so we'll do our best as we can. Yeah, please correct us if we're wrong. But yeah, very good race from the driver in the 86 Ferrari, just maintaining first place over the BMW still, just not letting the BMW pull off any sort of moves.
Just trying to maintain the gap, I think, right now, and keep in touch with Saidi out in first place, but the gap has opened up to around 0.9 of a second. It's closing down a little bit through Dunlop, down to around 0.7 of a second, but there again, it's opening back up. I don't think this BMW is feeling as stable as it possibly was maybe about 40 minutes ago, and I think Will Brunner might still have a chance to catch back up. The gap 9.6 seconds to the leader right now. He's 2 seconds off of Ryan Lentillion, and of course we believe that Saidi, Azevedo, and Lentillion have decided to not take tires, and Will Brunner elected to take a brand new set of tires.
Yeah, as it's looking right now, it doesn't look like that gamble for new rubber is paying off, as that gap to Lentillion has maintained right around 2 seconds ever since the pit stops. Ever since they've exited the pits, that is. And so it'll be interesting to see as maybe towards the end, just that tire just not quite warmed up yet, not quite reaching that optimal sort of operating window, and maybe just the Corvette needs a little bit more time until it can really push on those new tires.
Possibly so, or possibly preserving those tires for a little bit later in the stint. We saw Will Brunner inherit the lead of the race just by driving cleanly and focusing on his own race. So it'll be interesting to see how he decides to negotiate the rest of this 38-minute stint that we have remaining. Gaps come down a little bit, around 1.9 down the Mussolini straight, it looks like. But that's nothing to really write home about as we approach the next chicane. That'll be the Michelin chicane that we're entering. Getting a little bit slidey through there, but still maintaining that gap around that 1 second mark.
Yeah, and of course, as lap traffic comes in too, you never know when or where it's going to catch up your competitors. So as we see that Toyota go by cleanly on the Corvette, potentially it might catch the Ferrari and the BMW ahead in very non-optimal positions to really throw off the lap times of the GT3 competitors, and that'll give Brunner a good opportunity to catch up and potentially even, get back up into second place where he was running before the pit stops.
Hopefully Will Brunner can find his rhythm and his rhyme, and he can get jiggy, baby. It's bobsled time, and let's check in with the Hypercar category one more time. Mitchell Diaz leading the race right now in P1, leading by 15.2 seconds in front of Santiago Barrios. Gurin Singh in third place, Siege Engine in fourth, Andre Alex Alfonso in fifth, Juan Kairos in sixth, Joseph German in seventh, Pedro Lima, Carl Sween, Arlen Santos, there's your top 10. Then Jacob Cunningham, Rod Skyhook, Andrew Komisarov, and Davide Aulino in 14th place, down in 17th overall. He's 1 lap down to the leaders.
Yeah, looking at the gaps, it doesn't look like there's quite any battles on track in the Hypercar field. The gaps are right around 10 seconds between most of the competitors, as we see between the first and second around 15 seconds, then 10 seconds to third, another 10 to fourth, 21 seconds to fifth. Yeah, 3 seconds down to 6. Not quite any battles on track yet, but that could very well change with any sort of traffic negotiation, any sort of small mistakes, potentially leading to a big mistake. So yeah, anything can still happen with about 35 minutes left in the race.
Yeah, Mitchell Diaz, fastest lap of the race with a 3:27.7, lapping around 2 seconds a lap faster than Santiago Barrios right now, and the rest of the field that much further behind him. So Mitchell Diaz lit a firecracker underneath his seat, and he is push mode. He is not holding anything back here tonight for the 90 minutes of Circuit de la Sarthe here at Le Mans. And Jake Buckton, Ryan Cody, Chris Turner, and Jason Provolone in the Hypercar category, or excuse me, the LMP2 category, as we check in with him.
Yeah, Jake Buckton leading the race in the LMP2 category by 38 seconds over Cody. and then another 53 seconds to Turner behind. It must have had some sort of really extended these gaps during the pit stops, because yeah, before then they were a little bit closer on track.
Yeah, they were a lot closer on track when we got things started, for sure. And Alex K Racing reminded us to don't forget to take a screenshot of the grid so I can dish out prizes later on. I will send you a clip of the starting grid, and that way you can have your choice of drivers to choose from, or you can put their names into a hat and circle them out randomly, whoever that is, or I can get you a screenshot after the race to show you whoever has finished the race, Alex K. But thank you so much to Alex K Racing, because what he has done is he has offered up 3 different $20 Steam gift cards up for grabs that will be given out randomly afterwards. Spidey1155, thank you very much for the follow. But talking about Alex K, what he has done is given out 3 $20 gift cards, one for every single category of drivers that are out here tonight, that will be given out randomly, thanks to Alex K's generous donation. Thank you very much to Alex K for supporting TRACKILICIOUS and keeping us on the up and up. Thank you for all your support and everything that you've done to keep us up and running here, getting the broadcast going, from UI changes to just general updates about Le Mans Ultimate, and getting us educated as well. Really appreciate all of your support, my friend.
Yeah, thank you very much for your generosity. Really appreciate it at the TRACKILICIOUS community.
Jake Bucknam having a pretty quiet race right now, 38 seconds in the lead. Not seeing any other cars on track right now. And then Ryan Cody in second place, generated a 38.1 second gap back. Chris Turner 52 seconds away from that battle. And Provolone doing a good job to catch back up to the leading GT or LMP2 category cars, excuse me.
Yeah, good from Provolone to stick with the race and keep racing for the 90 minutes, try to get back up through the field as best as he possibly can after being a lap down at one point, I believe. So good recovery drive from the number 14 car. And yeah, like you mentioned, Jake Bucknam just kind of in a little bit of an island of his own, just really just kind of driving around, maintaining his pace, just negotiating the traffic. Yeah, just doing all the things as good as he possibly can, and it's leading to a 39-second gap out front.
And if you have time, give Jake Bucknam a quick shout out. He is one of the LMU managers that handles things behind the scenes. So if you're ever wondering who's out there clearing drive-through penalties for the drivers on the starting grid, that will be Mr. Jake Bucknam himself. So big shout out to Jake for all the hard work that he does behind the scenes, the thankless job of being an LMU admin here at TRACKILICIOUS. And thank you and hats off to Jake Bucknam, and happy to see you enjoying a race for once.
Yeah, it's good to see people who set up the races also get to enjoy the fruits of their labor, so to say, than that they get to compete in their 90-minute races that they get to set up around Le Mans and be able to, yeah, just compete with their fellow friends around such an iconic track, and very fun to drive cars.
What I'm surprised about with Jake Bucknam is that I'm sure he didn't get as much practice as he'd like to for this series, because he had to become a admin and moderator for a lot of the penalties that we're seeing, as number 50 goes out to the curbing and tries to pass Jake there on the outside line, and then easily does so. But surprising to see him in first place despite not having as much running time as maybe some of the rest of the drivers here. He's done a good job of keeping this one calm, cool, and collected, and I'm happy to see him out on track right now.
Yeah, good to see there. Yeah, very, like, yeah, we've always fun to see someone who gets to kind of, yeah, run in their own little league and enjoy what they do. So yeah, it's good to see that TRACKILICIOUS has that kind of community.
And if you want to get involved in any of the action, !SimGrid. And you can find all the SimGrid races that TRACKILICIOUS is running. Keep your eye out for the next season of Le Mans Ultimate that will be hosted by TRACKILICIOUS. where you yourself can get in on the action and find yourself on stream potentially, just like Mr. Jake Bucknam is right now. And he could be battling it out just like all the rest of the drivers on track. João Azevedo, excuse me, in a blink of an eye has gotten past Faraz Saidi somehow. And Saidi seemingly having another big mishap. And Ryan Lentillion closes the gap down to 4.6 seconds from behind, it looks like. And Will Brunner in 4th place, switching over the tower to the GT3 category, so we can keep an eye on this. João Azevedo in 1st place, running that BMW WRT number 46. Faraz Saidi in 2nd place for the GR Racing Ferrari team. Ryan Lentillion, the number 31 WRT. Will Brunner, the number 82 TF Sport Car.
Yeah, a big gap ahead for Azevedo too, almost 4 seconds. So there must have been some sort of incident for Saidi. Not sure if it was contact with another car or just kind of went off track on his own. But yeah, that was a pretty sizable gap. Now back to Azevedo, and Lentillion able to close the gap down from 6 seconds to about 4.5, and Brunner really closing down the gap almost on the tail of the BMW within a second. Really going to be able to benefit from the slipstream now.
Yeah, the slipstream will be absolutely massive for Will Brunner behind that big beastly BMW and getting him towed along. We saw how many times that Corvette was able to benefit from the slipstream and really close in on the other BMW that was João Azevedo's earlier on in the race and then escape with his life. So very interesting to see how Will Brunner will now chase down Ryan Lentillion, gaps underneath a second, underneath 9/10 of a second. And it's going to continue to plummet as we approach the Porsche curves, and things are about to get spicy on the following lap for Ryan Lentillion and Will Brunner on those fresh tires.
Yeah, we saw in the background one of the blue Alpines approaching, so we'll see if the Alpine catches them at a pretty good spot here. We see just pulling in now, gonna tuck behind the Corvette through these curves coming up here, through the Corvette curves. So good position from the Alpine, just holding off, letting the Corvette take its line, and then finding a good opportunity to get by.
And getting by right before the entrance to the Ford chicane. Should be able to get past both of them, I believe. And not going into the pit lane this time around. 27 minutes remaining in this race. And there's a big gap that is now closed down from Ryan Lentillion to Will Brunner. And it's underneath 0.3 of a second. And down the Mousseline straight, I can only imagine that we're going to see a massive overtake just take effect here. And just due to the nature of the slipstream that the Corvette's going to have after we get through Dunlop and Tête Rouge, I believe the Corvette will have the best opportunity it's had in a long time to clinch back a podium points paying position in front of Ryan Lentillion.
Yeah, unfortunately that Ferrari getting by isn't going to help his chances, and now there's a car in between them, but maybe the Ferrari might... Yeah, it seems like the Ferrari just gets by the BMW pretty effectively there, and not really costing the BMW too much time, so that unfortunately cost Will Brunner just that tiny little bit of an advantage not to be right on the bumper of the BMW as they start the beginning of the straight, but still the slipstream should have a pretty handy effect for the Corvette, as we see them approaching the first chicanes down the Mulsanne straight. Just not quite close enough. The BMW has a really good power advantage, it seems like, coming out of those corners.
And checking in with that gap, it's opened up to around 0.6 of a second. Rod Skyhook now taking a DNF from this race and tumbling down the order after a warp to a pit lane. That'll leave just 13 drivers in that hypercar category, 4 drivers in the LMP2 category, and these remaining drivers, these 6 drivers in the LMGT3 category to finish out this 90-minute race.
Yeah, unfortunate to see some drivers DNF, but that's unfortunately the nature of racing. Some days it goes your way, some days it doesn't, but that's kind of why we enjoy it, because it's not, you can't really say what's going to happen every race.
That's the way of the road. Sometimes she goes, sometimes she don't. And this time it don't go for Rod Skyhook, just unfortunately. as he tumbles down the order. But this battle between Will Brunner and Ryan Lentillion, Ryan the Lion Lentillion, is getting awfully close, and you can see those brakes glowing as Ryan Lentillion got onto the brakes at Museline and is powering forward. You're absolutely right, Kuzya. The BMW is charging out of the corners very well, and the Corvette just seemingly having a good top speed underneath that slipstream. Tucks back in, goes to the inside line, has a big look coming into the corner right before Indianapolis, side by side all the way down the straightaway. Does he have enough overlap to demand racing room? Oh my goodness, just barely. Now on the outside line, the number 82 is going for a move, but Lentillion covers it off very well, and that was a little bit dicey there for the number 82.
Yeah, the 31 throwing all of his elbows out, left and right. Both we saw him push the Corvette just a little bit off track and may have cost the Corvette just that tiny bit of traction to potentially get by into Indianapolis. But yeah, my word, good on the Corvette not to lose it after getting pushed a little bit off onto the grass. As we see the Corvette potentially lining up a move through the Porsche curve is very, very difficult to get by unless your competitor in front makes a slight mistake. Yeah, it's just not really any kind of big braking zones for any kind of overlap. So the Porsche, or sorry, not the Porsche, the Corvette gonna just pull out a little bit of a gap, unfortunately, to the BMW ahead. But as we saw down the Mulsanne straight, it's able to claw back a pretty good advantage up until those final two sectors where it really seems like it has an advantage. Oh, the Corvette dives into the pits. I'm not quite sure for what, because we predicted that the Corvette did take tires, so it's quite interesting to see the Corvette go into the pits of all the competitors in the GT3 field.
Will Brunner potentially going for a splash and dash to get him to the end of the race. If he did already take a set of tires, then now all he needs is to top up his energy, and he'll be back up and running, getting rolled back by just a hair and back out onto the racetrack here in just a few moments. Let's check back in with the hypercar category as Mitchell Diaz negotiates his way past, I think that's one Bigley, the number 31 car, and just barely avoids it, but collects a pylon and a speed token violation there. The number 5 leads by 25.5 seconds over Santiago Barrios, Gurin Singh, Siege Engine, Alex Alfonso, Joseph German, Juan Kairos, Pedro Lima, Carl Sween, Arlen Santos, Jacob Cunningham, Andrew Komisarov, and Davide Aulino.
Yeah, that lead Porsche just able to pull out an even bigger advantage on the BMW behind, now 26 seconds. Last time we checked, I believe it was right around 15 seconds. So even more of an advantage now for the Porsche, who the chat seems to suggest that they are going for a two-stop, where the BMW is conserving tires and just going to finish out the race, the final 22 minutes, on the energy and tires that it has left.
I'm not quite sure that Santiago Barrios can make it to the end on merit alone. Hopes and dreams maybe, but on that fuel saving strategy, he has to be saving a ton of fuel to make it the remaining 21.5 minutes. But it looks like Mitchell Diaz, who has been pushing his heart out for the past 40 minutes or so, will basically have to come into a pit stop for a splash and dash to get himself to the checkered flag, I believe.
Yeah, it seems that way, and with the way that Diaz is driving right now, he's pulling out just pulling out seconds by the lap, just over his competitors behind. So seemingly that two-stop strategy might work out well for the Porsche driver.
Potentially working out for the Porsche driver, potentially working out for the BMW driver. Time will only tell. Ricardo Prados, thank you very much for the follow. Thank you very much for joining the TRACKILICIOUS family. Hopefully you're enjoying this wonderful stream that we're doing, and hopefully we'll find you out on track. !SimGrid in the chat to find all of the hosted events by TRACKILICIOUS, and keep your eye on the Discord as well. !Discord. Keep an eye on the LMU channel.
Yeah, Trackalicious hosting a lot of events in both ACC and Le Mans Ultimate. I believe they have an iRacing series as well. So yeah, plenty of different racing to get yourself involved into. And yeah, thank you for joining.
Pretty
Barrios
quiet. Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. Oh yeah, okay. So yeah, Barrios still just kind of lapping around at his own pace right now. Pretty good advantage back to third place. Yeah, just kind of lapping his own race, managing the traffic as best as he can, just managing his fuel. Seems like he'll, if he is gonna manage to do that one stop, it's gonna be quite a good effort as he did battle with Diaz a little bit. So it's always very hard to let yourself go of a battle when you're in the heat of it, just to say, okay, I need to stop here. I need to conserve my fuel. I need to conserve my energy. We gotta make this strategy work. And yeah, that's good on him for trying to make that work in this race.
And Santiago Barrios, I think, just going after a lap delta and trying to hit that over and over and over again, and trying to just see where he can fuel save the absolute most. We saw in chat from earlier that he was working desperately hard to try to make sure that he could hit that delta over and over again. And that's the difference between the hypercars and running an LMGT3 car. Perhaps just not pushing flat out is a little bit different as you manage the battery system on the car. And just a quick update on the standings as well. I'll give you guys the quick rundown. Carl Sween is in first place with 141 points in the hypercar category. Brandon Pfeiffer, Santiago Barrios in third place. Joseph German in fourth place. Osvaldo Costa in fifth place. Jace Wright in sixth. Mitchell Diaz in seventh. Rod Skyhook in eighth. Gurin Singh in ninth. Arlen Santos in 10th for that hypercar category.
Yeah, this will be a good result for Barrios to finish as high as he is up the field to potentially climb up the championship standings towards the end of the race, and maybe even find himself up in that top spot if his strategy is going to work out. Oh, we see a yellow flag. There's one of the GT3 runners in the background going slowly. Not sure which car that is. Couldn't quite tell which shape that was. Shape of car.
On Bigley, Colin Blackman potentially?
Yeah, see, but very likely he's right around that point of the track where we did see that car get spun. Oh, it seems like Lord Grimm seems to suggest it was a front-running 296 of, I believe that was Saidi that was running. Oh yeah, for us, Saidi now in second place.
No, Saidi's been in second place, 3.5
Oh, he has been in second
off
place.
the good. Yeah, I think that might have been Colin Blackman potentially, or one Bigley. I can only imagine it was one of those drivers because the standings look pretty normal right now in the GT3 category. Let me switch over to them. João Azevedo leads over Faraz Saidi by 3.9 seconds. Ryan Lantillion 9 seconds away from there. Will Brunner, Colin Blackman, and then one Bigley, the remaining GT3 drivers.
Yeah, it must have, most likely was the Ferrari of Blackman behind. Yeah, those two Ferraris did look pretty similar, so yeah, I don't blame colorblind. They all look the same. Yeah, I don't blame you. It's very hard to pick out which car it is just from a quick little glimpse of it in the background, but yeah, unfortunately, just seeming just spin off a little bit and just costing himself a little bit of time. 1.8 seconds now behind Brunner, who did come in for that pit stop. Still running in fourth place though, around 37 seconds behind Lantillion in the BMW, who unfortunately that gap has opened up between third and second place to around 9 seconds. It was right around 4 seconds before, and good for Azevedo to maintain his advantage at the top, increasing the gap to around 4.5 seconds, not letting Saidi get close and pull off any sort of move in the around 15 minutes left in the race that we have.
But will the remaining LMGT3 drivers have to come in for a splash and dash for the remaining 15 minutes of this race? And yes, it is true. The remaining drivers will have to take a splash and dash. Where is Will Brunner going to come out in this battle then between Zhao Azevedo, Ryan Lantillion, and Faraz Saidi. Only time will tell what the strategy ends up looking like, as Will Brunner is the one that undercut everybody the first time around, took that new set of tires, then came in for the early splash and dash. Where's Will Brunner on track? He's coming out through the Porsche curves right now, and hopefully he'll be able to undercut Faraz Saidi in that number 3 spot now in the number 86 car, Ferrari. And is Faraz rolling? He is rolling already. This is going to be pretty close. Tight knit here coming through the Ford chicane, I believe, is Will Brunner now. Yes, he is, but I still think it's too little too late. Will Brunner is going to have to settle into 4th place position unless Ryan Lantillion is pulling off a fuel saving strategy and can manage to get the lead on the rest of the field.
Yeah, just a slightly messy pit stop from Saidi on the entry, but it seems like the rest of the pit stop went very smoothly as he's able to come out ahead of Brunner in the Corvette. Right around 9 seconds is the gap, which I believe that was about the gap before the pit stop, so not really too much time lost for either car. So Brunner's really going to have to push in these final 14 minutes of the race if he's going to try to get back into the podium positions.
And can Zhao Azevedo still pull off a splash and dash and maintain his lead over Ryan Lantillion then?
Yeah,
That
it's also
would be the
true. We
question.
still have the... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
No, that's just the question I have.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the strategies of the 2 leading BMWs on track at the moment play out. Of course, we can't really see the virtual energy tank, so we don't know if they do or do not have to come in soon on this lap, on the next lap. So it's only speculation down from us, but the lead BMWs of the GT3 field yet to stop as we see this battle between the number 7 Toyota and the Peugeot ahead. This is for 5th position of the Hypercar class. Not quite able to get a move done. It seems like the Toyota had a pretty good overspeed advantage on the Peugeot, but the Peugeot just able to pull away after the Toyota pulled out of the slipstream. So, but there's going to be a round 2 as they go down the Mulsanne straight after the first chicane into another heavy braking zone of the second chicane. And we'll just see that Peugeot just has a really good speed out of the corner. The Toyota not really able to stay close to pull off any sort of dive bomb or move to the inside of the chicane. Yeah, the Toyota just has to pull back a little bit. The Peugeot really strong down the straights.
That no-winged Peugeot, hopefully that's not damage inflicted, and that actually is the no-winged Peugeot from 2023 that he's running. Doing a great job of maintaining the gap behind to Joseph German, who was that lap 1, not turn 1 incident, but lap 1 first chicane incident on that cold system, and potentially had overheated the tires. No! And that'll be a yellow flag waved as Andre Alex Alfonso gets touched in the rumpus by Joseph German there, and able to regain track position. And Juan Kairos in that number 6 Porsche Penske Motorsport car, able to get past Joseph German with relative ease, as Andre Alex Alfonso was still getting those tires warmed up and going back to speed again.
Yeah, unfortunate incident there. It seems like the Peugeot had the outside line, just got onto the curbing a little bit, oversteered just that slight touch, didn't give it any good traction coming out of the corner, and the Toyota just had really, I mean, if the Toyota was just carrying on its line and expecting the Peugeot to kind of maintain its traction through the corner, but the Peugeot just oversteered, turned a little bit to the right, and just kind of tapped its rear quarter panel and spun it around. It'll be interesting to see if there's any kind of steward's decision that comes from that incident. But yeah, just really hard to judge at that speed of what truly went wrong there. But yeah, fortunately for the Porsche, able to get up into the 6th. Unfortunately for the Peugeot, it's dropped them down into 7th place.
Super unfortunate, but will that Peugeot be able to challenge back? There's Will Brunner in the background of this battle. There's Andre Alex Alfonso getting by Will Brunner, and Will Brunner is running in 4th place right now in the number 82 TF Sport car, behind Faraz Saidi, Ryan Lantillion, and Zhao Azevedo.
Yeah, we saw the Porsche that just got ahead of Afonso here dive into the pits, as well as the Toyota that got ahead of the Peugeot. So we'll see if the Peugeot still needs to pit, or whether they're also going to kind of pull out a one-stop fuel-saving strategy.
Oh, excuse me, change for the lead here, as Santiago Barrios is now 9 seconds ahead of Mitchell Diaz. Mitchell Diaz seemingly taking that extra pit stop. Let's see if we can see the number of pit stop. There it is. Barrios has taken just the one. Diaz has taken two. A 9-second gap that needs to be made up over the next 9 minutes. Will it be achievable? Will it be attainable or not? It's going to be about 2 more laps that Mitchell Diaz has to contend with. This strategy that he's settled himself into. We're going to keep a close eye on the gap. You can see Barrios just off in the distance. If you squint your eyes just barely, you can see that BMW charging for the number 20 in first place of this race in the hypercar category. And we'll check in with the LMP2 category here while we wait for that battle to come up to speed. Jake Bucknam still leads in P1, driving the number 22. Ryan Cody in the number 33 in second place. Chris Turner in third place. And Provolone still chopping it up. He's driving home in fourth place. And yes, Dr. Porkchop, it is pronounced Andre Alex Alfonso.
Yeah, good running from these LMP2 drivers. Unfortunately, not quite in a racy race today, just kind of driving their own stints, not quite being able to get bumper to bumper with their fellow LMP2 drivers. But nonetheless, still out on track, still holding on to the positions that they hold, and potentially not getting involved in any more incidents in the final 8 minutes of the race.
And stops that could be remaining for Lentilian and Azevedo. It looks like Saidi and Brunner have taken their second pit stop of the race so far. Has João Azevedo been able to fuel save enough as he just grazes the wall coming through the Porsche chicane? It looks like the number 46 might actually be posturing to come into the pit lane this time around. It just looks that way by the car's body language, but no, not this time around. It looks like 7.5 minutes remaining. Looks like João Azevedo, excuse me, I was right the first time around. João Azevedo is coming into the pits as he cuts the chicane as much as possible, hitting the pit limiter button as he gets down to the boards, and he will have to take this pit stop. Where will he come out? Will he come out in front of Ryan Lentilian? And will Lentilian also decide to come into the pits? He is coming into the pits now, out from second place, cutting the chicane, hitting a little bit of the kitty litter as well to boot. The number 31 getting a little down and dirty there.
Yeah, trying to take as much advantage through the pit lane as possible. You don't want to lose any time at all. It'll be interesting to see where these two drivers do come out on track, as their competitors have already pitted and they have warm tires and have been out on track and they know their pace. So right as Lentilian pulls into the pits, Azevedo pulls away. Koala, thank you for the follow.
Let's see where Saidi is. He's coming down the main straightaway now, seemingly looking like we're about to have an epic three-way scrap for the lead of the race. There is Azevedo out in front, Ryan Lentilian in third place, just trickling behind right now, and he's trailing by 5.1 seconds. Oh no, Lentilian having a major issue, and that'll warp him off to the pits, and he is taking a DNF. Super unfortunate for Lentilian at the end, being 5 minutes and 56 seconds of this race to end up getting a DNF. It's hard to make it that long through an endurance race. 5 minutes from the end, 5 minutes from the conclusion and that checkered flag, and giving it all up. Lentilian might have sped there. I believe he might have. He looked like he was coming in awfully hot there.
Yeah, after cutting through the gravel, just not quite able to get the car slowed down in time before the line of the pit marker. But It's also possible that there was just some sort of pit stop error and he didn't give himself enough fuel for the final remaining laps. So yeah, I would assume that the game just kind of gives you a penalty for speeding in the pits. But like I said, yeah, like as we said at the beginning, I haven't really played too much of it myself, so not too sure with what sort of penalties that the game can dish out.
Super gut-wrenching for Lentillion. My heart goes out to him. He's a great streamer. Make sure you check out Ryan Lentillion's stream, Just Like Toyota, in 2016. Absolutely tragic, says Shiny Carp, and that was a heartbreaking moment. We don't talk about 2016 in here, Shiny Carp. Come on now, you know better than that. I'm just kidding. But we're doing all right here in the broadcast booth. It looks like João Azevedo leads by 1.8 seconds to Saidi. Behind, Will Brunner inherits third place. Colin Blackman won bigly. And then Ryan Lentillion dropping out. So there's your top 5 in the LMGT3 category. Jake Buckton, Ryan Cody, Chris Turner, and Jason Provolone in the P2 category. And right now, Mitchell Diaz, Santiago Barrio, Siege Engine, Gurin Singh, and Alex Alfonso, the top 5 in the Hypercar category. Almost called them P1s again. That's my mistake.
Yeah, and unfortunately, it looks like the 20 BMW did have to enter the pits again, just not quite able to get that one-stop strategy to work. And unfortunate for the 20, it's going to see the lead that it had disappear. But fortunately, it should just be a very quick pit stop for Barrios, and he's gonna be able to get out in second place.
Ryan Lentillion, I'm so sorry, brother. Shame to see you not make it to the checkered flag, my friend. Hopefully I'll catch you streaming soon. I was surprised that you're actually not streaming right now, to be honest with you. But we're all gutted for you, my friend, and you were on for an amazing charge and podium there. Man. Really wish we could have seen you take the checkered flag. It seems like you have the worst luck out of anybody in LMU right now.
Yeah, sorry to hear, Lentillion, but yeah, next time you'll get it. Come back from those mistakes stronger, and now you know what to do for the pit stops. Yeah, we're just curious what happened there.
He didn't practice the Mike Noss strategy key to the race. Speeding in pit lane. He did not practice his pit lane. Oof. Man, we saw you cut the chicane there, head off into the gravel, and actually Kuzya called it that you may have been speeding in the pit lane due to hitting that chicane just a little bit aggressively. And man, yeah, good call, Kuzya, for calling that one out there as you saw it.
Yeah, it was just seemed that slightly over the edge, because we saw the BMW before of Azevedo almost do the same thing, but he was able to slow the car down in time before the line. But yeah, just referencing from the car before, it just seems like he just carried just that tiny little bit too much speed. Just going back real quick to the LMGT3s, it seems like Saidi was able to close down on the lead of Azevedo. Now the gap is less than 1 second, so this will be pretty exciting as we head into the final lap or few laps of this race.
Keep an eye on the GT3 battle as well between Saidi and João Azevedo with just 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining. It's feeling like a pretty good race right now. Koala asks, is anyone playing on controller? Not that I'm aware of, Koala. You could join us, exclamation point SimGrid in chat, or exclamation point Discord, to find out all of the Trackalicious hosted races, and maybe you can be the very first one. Big Buckley Boy asks, I hear that the sim is pretty sweet. Does it feel like R Factor 2? Well, you're going to have to ask some of the drivers. Ask Ryan Lentillion, as he's here in chat, what the racing simulator feels like, because Lentillion is pretty experienced across a variety of sim games.
Yeah, unfortunately for us in the broadcast booth, not too much experience in driving the sim, but still enjoying all of the visuals that we can get from it during the broadcast.
Thank you, Dr. Porkchop, for typing exclamation point SimGrid to get as many people as possible signed up for our next championship, and the LMU series will be announced in due time. Keep an eye on the Discord, exclamation point Discord as well, to find yourself interested and show some love for the Trackalicious family and get yourself involved in the community. It's a great group of people. We have affiliate links all the way from Legos to Moza information, and we're partnered with 5FI and SRA as well, so make sure you keep in tune for any of those events coming up. And of course, tomorrow we have our 12-hour event coming up. Make sure you stick around for that. We'll be streaming for an entire 12 hours straight, plus qualifying, so we'll be on stream for about 13 and a half hours total.
Yeah, really looking forward to that one. Should be a fun 12-hour event around the famous Mount Panorama circuit. But now at the Le Mans circuit, we see Saidi still getting really close to the BMW, but just not quite close enough to pull off any kind of move. As the timer hits 0 on the race, we'll just have to see if these guys will be doing one more lap. They probably will be, as I believe Diaz has already crossed the line to start another lap. Yes, Diaz halfway through the lap, so that'll give Saidi another lap to try and get by Azevedo for the lead of the GT3 overall race.
Pit stop Tillian dipping into the pockets and giving us a $10 for the Keep the Lights On Foundation. Thank you very much for the generous donation. That goes directly to supporting the broadcasters here and making this our full-time gigs. Thank you very much for that love and support, my friend. It really goes a long way in keeping our dreams alive and flowing. We love what we do, and we love talking smack about drivers as they drive their imaginary race cars around glorified ovals. And for us, Saidi has to come into the pit lane again. What's going on here? Was he not expecting an additional bonus lap and did not take enough fuel? This is going to promote Will Brunner into second place of this race. Woza! And a shake of frustration coming out of Faraz Saidi as he now dips into the pit lane and does his second splash and dash of the night.
Yeah, I think you're right there. He probably just didn't expect that other lap to happen and just has to come into the pits again, or else he would have completely DNF'd the race. We'll see if he's able to come out ahead of his fellow Ferrari and at least keep a podium position in third, and it looks like he is because the gap behind to the Ferrari is over 30 seconds. But really unfortunate for Saidi, was trying to battle for the lead on the last lap of the race, but not able to do so with a slight fuel miscalculation.
Getting fuel wrong by one stinking lap is so gutting. It is the most demoralizing thing ever. I always do my fuel calculations with a full formation lap. Even if it's a short formation lap, I'll call it a full formation lap, and then I'll always do plus one lap. You never know when the leader is going to cross the line, especially in multi-class racing. So crazy, unbelievable what's going on right now. And Lord Grimm says, I thought the GT3s were also Michelin tires. I believe they are Michelin tires.
Actually, they switched, actually. The GT3s run a Goodyear tire, and then the Hypercars, and I'm not sure what the LMP2s run, but the Hypercars run a Michelin, and the GT3s run a Goodyear tire.
Goodyear tires for the GT3s. I didn't know that they had switched. Well, that will be a big change up for any GT3s that head to Le Mans from the IMSA category, as they're not used to those tires, and they obviously won't have that much data. Perhaps that's the big difference between the Lexus RCF's category in IMSA and in WEC, because the I can't remember the team name. Starts with an A. Keto, I can't remember. Anyways, they're terrible in WEC. They are just running in last place all the time. And the Vassar Sullivan team is doing pretty well, qualified 4th for the Daytona 24 hours. So quite interesting there. Let's check out Mitchell Diaz. Mitchell Diaz actually already taking the checkered flag and finishing off the race. And Santiago Barrios in second, Gurren Singh in third, Siege Engine in 4th place, Alex Alfonso in 5th place as he crosses the line. Joseph German getting to the line in 7th place. Juan Caires in 7th, Carl Sween in 8th. Arlen Santos in 9th. Pedro Lima in 10th, taking a DNF. Jake Bucknam will take the checkered flag in P1 in the P2 category. Ryan Cody taking P2 as he goes to the pit lane. Chris Turner in the pit lane, and he will take 3rd place. Jason Provolone in 4th place, the big stinky cheese man himself, driving the AO Corsa car by TF. Looking back at the GT3 category, João Azevedo coming through the Porsche curves now will take 1st place in that category. Will Brunner in 2nd place in the category. Faraz Saidi in 3rd. Colin Blackman in 4th place. One Bigley in 5th place. Thank you very much for everybody joining out with us. I really appreciate you showing up, and all the participants that made it to the checkered flag. Hats off to you, because that's the big sell at the end of the day, is just making it to the checkered flag of one of these epic endurance events.
Yeah, kudos to all the competitors for racing for the whole 90 minutes, keeping it clean on track, providing us with some great action throughout. Yeah, good fun event. Congrats to João as he crosses the line in 1st place of the LMGT3 category with a pretty commanding 10-second lead over 2nd place of the Corvette of Brunner. Those two were providing some epic battles on track for the first 40 minutes to an hour, battling for 1st and 2nd in class, back and forth, BMW and Corvette. Yeah, good battles between those two all throughout.
Oh, and someone finding a barrier there at the end of the race. Trying to see if I can get the, not the starting order, but the race results. Let's see if we can get the race results posted here in just a second.
Yeah, it's always fun to just hear crunching in the background going on. You can only assume what went on there.
Mitchell Diaz in 1st place, and Santiago Barrios in 2nd, Gurin Singh in 3rd, Siege Engine in 4th, Alex Alfonso in 5th, Joseph German in 6th, Juan Caires in 7th, Carl Sween in 8th, Arlen Santos in 9th, Pedro Lima in 10th in the Hypercar category. Looking at the LMP2 field now, Jake Bucknam in 1st place over Ryan Cody in 2nd, Chris Turner in 3rd, Jason Provolone in 4th, and 2 DNFs for the category. In the GT3 field, João Azevedo commanded a hard-fought battle for 1st place. Will Brunner in 2nd, Faraz Saidi in 3rd, Colin Blackman in 4th, One Bigley in 5th, Ryan Lentillion taking a DNF, and Celestia Chambers in 7th, with Drew Harkins in 8th.
And we saw in the chat pop up real quick from Faraz Saidi saying that the game unfortunately messed up his pit stop. He said that he put 5 laps of fuel in, but the game only gave him 4, so that was why he had to come in at the end for another quick little splash of fuel.
Pretty crazy stuff. Pretty exciting event that we had. Thank you very much for everybody donating to the Keep the Lights On Foundation. Really appreciate it. All the support has been fantastic. Let's take a look at the calendar. Thank you very much for just a crunch there at the end. Thank you very much for all the wonderful comments. That the stream was great. Really appreciate everybody, and appreciate everybody in the comment sections talking about how much they loved the stream and all the information that you guys were able to feed on us. Let's take a look at the Tracklicious calendar, and we'll go ahead and send you off to a streamer. Kuzya, take it away and read us out what events the Tracklicious team has coming up next.
Sure thing. On Mondays, we've got the GT4 Rookies and the GT4 Open this week. Both of those series are going to Kailami. In the upcoming week at the GT3 Championship on Wednesdays, the upcoming race is going to be at Imola for a 50-minute race. Thursdays, an iRacing Championship, also GT3s. This week had a week off. Next week going to be racing. Oh, sorry. This week actually we're racing at Virginia International. Next week going to be going to Road America for a 60-minute race. And on Sundays the Proto Pavement GT3 Championship in ACC. On Sunday, they are going to be going to the iconic Red Bull Ring for a 80-minute race.
And do not forget about our 12-hour endurance race that we have coming up tomorrow, everybody. We have got to be headed to the most iconic circuit on ACC, other than the 24-hour of Nords, obviously. It's going to be Bathurst for a epic 12-hour endurance event. Looking forward to it so much. I'll be there for the last 4 hours of the stream. Mike Noss will be in the booth, and joined with us will be a whole host of commentators that will bring their skills and their energy level to the participation. So thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around. We're going to raid Gargle Some Water, or Gargle Some Water, in just a few moments. So please stick around for the raid. Thank you very much, everybody, for the love and the support. Have a great night. And as always, remember to stay safe out there. Goodbye. Bye-bye.